What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Portrait of a Cute Little Fox. That's what we're going to be painting today. Of course, the material that we're using is oil paint. So welcome Gigi and Mark and everybody else that is here. So this is another 9 by 12 inch cotton canvas. It's just acrylic primed, not prepared with anything special. And what we're going to do is we're going to tone the surface. As you can see, I just put these paints out, and because this is vertical, you can see that they're starting to drip, but that's okay. I just put these paints out there. Hey Tipu, welcome everybody. So we're gonna thin out the paint with Gamsol. This is going to be the thinnest, the most thin the paint is going to be. So I'm gonna use black and raw umber to tone. So I should probably not have my phone in here. I don't know why it's ringing right now. I'll toss it out later. Alright, so thinned out the paint. This is just black raw umber. The reference will not be shown, as I was talking about yesterday, in case anybody missed what I was discussing. This is a new series of videos, very frequent live streams. The timing will be 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So basically whatever time 1:30 p.m. in DC is for you. So again, 1:30 p.m. DC time zone. I'm going to take a break approximately every hour, and we'll paint till about 5 p.m. again, DC time zone. And depending on if anybody joins this particular tier on my Patreon, you'll be able to Zoom with me for 45 minutes after the stream ends at 5. So from 5 to 5:45 p.m. But anyway, so the canvas is toned now, and it's ready for some oil painting. Now jumping back to the palette camera, if I can do that. Alright, jumping back to the palette camera, we are going to start to paint some stuff. And I'm going to use this as the eraser brush. Hi Fran, welcome, welcome. Again, I'm going to use black and raw umber. These are the brushes that have been in my container of linseed oil that I'll be using today. So the topic is Portrait of a Cute Little Fox. So let's go ahead and draw the fox. It is a young fox. I'm assuming they're called puppies. I'm not sure. They look like dogs. Kind of. Looks like my Shiba Inu Hugo. That's kind of the main reason I chose this reference. Though, again, you won't see the reference. It's copyright free, but anyone that missed what I was talking about yesterday, copyright free does not necessarily mean it's copyright free forever for these purposes on YouTube. I learned through some little research that some of my videos that I had the reference up there, and I even linked it from, I'm not even going to say which copyright free sources I linked it from. They're not always going to be copyright free, so, but don't worry about it. You see the body of the cute little fox, and the head is going to be somewhere over here. What I'm doing is I'm focusing on the placement of the paws right now. So the little paws are going to be over here. As a cast shadow, again, the ears are approximately going to be up here. I'm planning out the placement of the cute little fox. They're called kits. No car yet. Oh no, sorry you don't have your car. Hey Barry, Ryan. never seen me cook before. Alright, so this is just black and raw umber for the drawing. Alright, so that's where the head is gonna fit. The muzzle of, I guess we're gonna call this Kit. Hey Lisa, welcome. Here's the axes of the eyes. And that's alright for the placement of the cute little fox. There's gonna be a lot of shadow back here. So we'll quickly sketch that in. Again, just black and raw umber is what I'm using. Now the paint is thin, but it's not so thin where it's not as thin, believe it or not, it's not as thin as the paint that's dripping on the side over there. Now let's go ahead and start to draw a little bit of detail for the face. Kits or cubs? Kits or cubs? Thanks for Googling it for me. We'll call it a fox cub. And now I'll refer to Hugo, my Shiba Inu, as a cub. Because he looks kind of like a fox. Alright, so shadow for the bottom of the muzzle is going to be here. There's a shadow on this ear. One eye over there. One eye over here. This is how simple we'll start it. The axes of the head, right about there. The edge of the side of the face, gonna be right there. So again, these streams are going to be nearly every single day. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So now what I'm gonna do is something a little different from yesterday. What I'll do is I will subtract a little bit of light for the ears of our little cub, because we did use a white tone. There's the little ears of our fox cub, or what are we gonna call it? Cub. Yes, this painting, I will sell this painting. But first I will sell prints of this one. The oil paintings, I will give a little bit of time to dry before I put them up for sale, and I want to sell them framed, already framed. So that's a difference from how I was selling paintings in the past. Nose for this little cub. Cute little cub. I bet you if I tried to pet this little cub, I'd probably get bitten. Might need to go to the doctor after getting bitten by the cub, but you know. That is what it is. Dark for the paws. And you'll definitely recognize this as a fox once we start to put the dark for the paws. Now you see it's starting to look like a fox. What does the fox say? The fox says, "I am here." Cast shadow from whatever is going to be over there. And the environment is going to have some little background. I've done many paintings on the stream, live streams. However, this is a new series. So this is only the second painting of this series. I had a different series in 2020, a different series last year, but this is going to be a whole different one. Only oil painting. I'm going to stick with oil painting because I got about 20 years experience with oil paint, so I'm going to just let oil painting be the material since it is the one I'm the strongest with. Yeah, that's Hugo, alright. Very fox-like. Some raw umber. Down here. And now we are good to go. That is pretty much all I need for the drawing. Now let's go ahead and mix some color for the background. And back to the palette view we go. It's a dark bluish background. And thanks for all the likes, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I know that wildlife paintings are not necessarily everyone's favorite to see from me, but I do want to paint more often, and I want to paint different subject matter than just a human face. Okay, so we've got a black blue with hints of green. The blue that I'm using is phthalo turquoise, so this is effectively phthalo turquoise, black, yellow to make it kind of greenish, a little bit of umber. That's what we got. Oh, I learned to paint in Maryland. I was born and raised in Maryland, so my first teacher ever, his name was John Ebersberger. He is an impressionist-based oil painter from he studied with an artist named Henry Henchy, who was the teacher of Nelson Shanks, who was the teacher of my teacher. My teachers. So Maryland, Baltimore, Philadelphia is the answer to where I learned to paint. In particular, in Maryland, I studied with John Ebersberger. In Annapolis, in Baltimore, I studied at the Zoll studio under an artist named Paulden Hamilton. And then in Philadelphia, I studied at a school called Studio Incaminati. And we'll just use the rest of this color up and put it down here. There's going to be a little bit of green back here. So we'll use the light yellow. See how this color is just trying to run away from the palette? That's the problem with the vertical palette. I bought this palette yesterday, and yes, I forgot to put the link to it. Darn it. This is a New Wave palette. This is called a Posh Tabletop. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but anyway. It is a wooden palette. It's much nicer to paint on than glass or plexiglass. It has better feedback. You can feel the brush mixing a little bit better. All in all, it's an excellent palette for oil painting. Background. Background is going to be very important for this one. Little glimpse of light on the back side for our little fox cub. This is cadmium scarlet. I tried to stay away from cadmiums, but I noticed yesterday that I kind of needed it for certain things. There's a kind of a brownish tone there. Cadmiums are toxic, so you want to be careful with how you use them. But you will be safe as long as you don't eat the paint or anything like that, I always say. Okie dokie, what do you say? We got the background. How did I decide to draw a fox? I like foxes because they look like my Shiba Inu Hugo. That's all. That's all the reasoning that was behind the choice. I will be painting close to every day. This is the start of a new series. It's a very ambitious one. So last year what I did was I painted, now that you see this brownish mixture, look, I'm going to alternate between this brush, which is a brownish, and let's say this one, which is going to be a yellowish, and we're going to have a gray as well for the fox. But see this? This is the colors we're going to alternate from, and we're going to have a gray, which is going to be black and white with a little bit of blue, and this is going to be our gray. So those are the color mixtures that I'm going to be using. So let's talk about why did I choose a fox, and switch back to this angle here so I can talk to you as I'm painting. So the reason I chose a fox is because I have a dog that looks like a fox. If anybody's familiar with the Shiba Inu breed, that is the type of dog that I have. He is my pride and joy. He's only 3 years old, little pup, or we'll call him a cub, like a fox cub. But this series, this is the second video of the series. This series is different because last year what I decided was I would paint, the series last year was I would paint using four different materials. I was using acrylic, not all at once, different days. Not all at once, different days. So one day I would do an acrylic, the next day I would do a watercolor, the next day I would do a pastel, and I even alternated from oil pastel to soft pastel. So that was last year. This year is going to be all oil paint, but the why is somebody calling me? But the stop calling me. But the purpose is different subject matter. Last time it was pretty much all portrait. This time it's going to be different subject matter. We're going to be painting the world, basically. The frequency is going to be close to every day. Close to every day. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Tion, welcome. Average time I take to paint, there really isn't one, but for these streams, we're gonna say 3.5 hours. We're gonna say for these streams. I've spent anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 years on a painting, so it varies a lot for me. And the dark for the paws of our fox pup. Cute little fox. The face that this fox has is adorable. It is definitely adorable. Going to that yellow mixture that I was talking about. In case anyone forgot how I mixed this, it's gonna be, this is a lemon yellow, Windsor yellow, white. This is raw sienna. And this is going to be our yellow. That is going to be the yellow. And of course we're going to have an orangey color. See how strong cadmium is versus what we had yesterday? See how strong that is? It's very powerful. Very powerful. Okay, so now that we have this, I'll go ahead and block in light for our fox pup. The gray. Let's see. Barry wrote, are you thinking about temperature of the colors right now? Like hot versus cold? Not really. I'm not thinking about hot versus cold. I'm more looking at different hues. So like more towards the blue, maybe here, more towards the green here, things like that. Like looking at the color of one plane relative to another. That's why my blue is phthalo blue. I'm using phthalo blue because it raises the it makes it blue really fast, which you could also say is the temperature. But no, I'm not thinking so much temperature right now. I'm thinking hue and value all at once. And I like to work dark and then add light to it, which is the complete opposite of a watercolor, which you would do the opposite, light and then dark. I like to work with the darks first with oil paint. That orangey yellow over here for our little fox cub. So the color mixtures are very simple, exact same as you saw earlier, nothing different. You can see how I am an arm's length away from the painting. Try to keep yourself a good distance away from the painting. And pretty good blocking for 20 minutes. Going back to the gray, now I'll show you how I'll mix this darker gray. So first, the white for the value. This is going to be one of the brightest values. And then we will compare it to the yellow to give us the light effect. Then with the same brush, we're going to mix black and blue right into this puddle. Hey Dan Hill, welcome, welcome. I'm doing all right. Hope you're doing well. Excited for this new series of videos. Hopefully you are too. And these foxes are they look very much like Shiba Inus. That's great. I go between brown and yellow, pretty much. For these mixtures. I'm going to keep you on this camera angle for a little bit because I'll be working the entire picture. So you can let me know if you want me to change camera angles, if you want the close-up. We've got close-up views here. But I'm just showing you the palette right now because a lot of mixing is going on. But yes, I will be selling prints of this first. Obviously, it's nowhere near finished. Nowhere near finished, but I will be selling prints. Hey, Lady Death. See how the palette is organized into different sections. Hey Harsh, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to a new series. You've stepped into a new series of videos. I think I remember you mentioning that you wanted me to do one in acrylic, so I apologize. This is an oil paint, but I'll always say that you can do this in any material you want. For the break time, I've got something special in store for you. For when I take a break, which is every hour, around every hour, I'll have some little extra videos playing for you. Today's will be related to portrait drawing of humans. Well, of course, I'm glad you're excited for the new series. So basically, this series it's ambitious. It's going to be a painting almost every day. I say almost because I don't really like. I'll talk to you directly now. There's different camera angles, so that's another new thing about this series. I don't really like when somebody says something that's impossible, like I'll be here every single day. I am scheduled every single day of this week, but I will tell you as it is. No one can tomorrow is never a promise today. However, I can tell you with comfort in mind that I will be here almost every day. You see, the wording, I don't want to promise something that I can't deliver. No one can deliver that they're going to be somewhere every single day. You can't. You just can't know. But yeah, I'll be here close to every day. And yeah, this is an ambitious series of paintings. I will be selling prints, maybe like mouse pads or things like merchandise. We're putting theory into practice. My entire YouTube channel has been dedicated to the tutorial type video. I'll call this a demo, but it's not really a demo. The demos are what I've done on YouTube and on Patreon for people to follow along step by step. So this is not really a demo. So for me to call it a demo is a misnomer. But what this is putting theory into practice. So you will be seeing how someone creates work that is going to be sold marketed and just creating a life, basically a career, based on everything that I've shown you on YouTube thus far. Exciting stuff. Oh, sorry it's so late over there. Harsh. I'm glad you're able to catch at least some of it. Yeah, sorry, 1:30 is so late. There will always be the pre-recorded videos after this one ends. It's kind of interesting going between different subject matter. So there'll be a little bit of everything. Anybody that likes cars, I have a Lamborghini painting that I'm gonna do. I was so into cars when I was in middle school, about if not 30 years ago, but like 20 something years ago when I was in middle school. I was all about cars. So we will be drawing or painting a Lamborghini. With this series, like I said, I cannot put the reference because I can't trust whether the copyright free will be copyright free forever. Yep, we have a Lamborghini painting scheduled. And then I really want to paint a Volkswagen Beetle. So I'll have cityscapes, nighttime, like nocturne paintings. Obviously your usual portrait paintings of humans. But yes, we have a Lamborghini painting scheduled. I highly doubt a lot of my usual followers will be interested in that. But I will mention this now in case someone watches this and decides, painting portraits of people is really boring, but I wonder if someone could paint a picture of a Lamborghini. See, that's something I would want. I would want a poster of a painting of a Lamborghini. I would. I mean, me personally, I would. I live in Northern Virginia. There are a lot of wealthy people in this area. Not me. You can see that the room is tiny. I'm in a small space. But I get by. Barely get by is kind of a thing. But anyway, there are quite a lot of Lamborghinis in this area that drive around, and I just kind of had the idea, like, maybe I should paint a Lamborghini. I've always wanted to. Yes, now I'm mostly focused on blending, so I'm using the same colors as you can see there, but I'm using it to push the shapes around until I get the drawing close to where I want it to be. Now the drawing is getting a lot closer. I'm glad you like the idea of a mixture of different subjects. It's a risk for me as a content creator to do that, but I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Instead, what I want to do is paint the world. Paint the world. Forget about the reference. Use the painting as the reference. I'm not even staying true to any reference. I will alter anything and everything I feel like. Because ultimately, nobody is going to see something for the first time like like the aliens finally landed and they're finally like telling us, hey, we've been here all along. And we used you humans as an experiment to study how things, whatever, like something crazy happens. No one's gonna say, let's call that portrait painter over here, that realist portrait painter, because they can make things look really realistic. They're gonna take a photograph. Art, what's gonna happen with art in the future? It's already happening. What's going to happen is you're gonna have everything out there that's not based on someone that you see, like me talking to you. Everything that you're gonna see is going to be some kind of AI. It's going to be some kind of AI is going to be creating the illustration for whatever pillowcase that you're going to buy with a cartoon of Ice Cube or something like that. It's all going to be AI. So what is going to be missing is going to be this interaction between us, the human element. And art has always followed two things in particular. Throughout history, art has always followed advancements in technology and the sociological state of whatever civilization the artists exist in. So sociology and technology. These are the two biggest things that always influences art. So to be an artist in these days and try to do the same thing that even Bob Ross did not that long ago is not going to work. So you constantly have to evolve, stay with the times, and the advent of the AIs is going to be a thing. You don't want to fight it. You just want to understand what it means and where to go from there. Shoot, some of these references might even end up being AI references. I won't know the difference. At some point, we won't know the difference. So it's my goal, it's my wish to create a series of videos that will be something that people would kind of, I don't know, feel comfortable just being a part of, witnessing, and yes, learning from. But that's my whole spiel about that. And yeah, the AIs are coming. That's a thing. Don't fight them. Don't fight technological progress. What you gotta do is evolve as a creator. That thing's harsh. I'm glad you're impressed. I'll be here all week. At least most of the week, let's say that. Cute little fox. Fox cub, we'll call it. They look so much like Shiba Inus. As you can see, the titanium white is trying to fall off. Anytime you see that happen during a stream, that means I put this paint fresh out of the tube. So go figure, that's what happens. That is Gamblin titanium white that is doing that. I don't even remember what I was trying to mix. I wasn't trying to mix anything with white, I was just showing you what it was doing. Right, the background. So now we're going to go into the environment. This is going to be darker than that. That's part of the fox, is the ears. The back side of the ears are dark. So let's do that. White fall. Oh, and I definitely need a cadmium yellow or some kind of bright yellow. So appreciate all the likes, everybody. Everyone that's here live in the US. This is kind of an odd time, but I'll be here for a couple hours. Yeah, I don't know where my... See, I got a bunch of paints in the tube, or in the box. I have a lead tin yellow, but I don't need that. I will find the cadmium yellow later. So I typically use gloves when I'm going through a box of paints. Oh well, we'll be fine without it. I know this is a kind of an odd time, but we'll be here for a couple hours. But I really appreciate any likes or follows, anything that will help push these streams. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Push that value. And then we'll get into close detail with the face after the environment is somewhat positioned. The environment's going to be really important for this painting in particular. And this is a painterly thing. We're going to push the light in, or the environment into the light. Oh yeah, I've posted all of them for the week. They're all posted. So if you go on my YouTube channel, see, this is a problem with YouTube, is it's not really promoting me at all. Which is it makes it kind of difficult to make a living. But yes, every single stream is already scheduled. For example, tomorrow's schedule is already posted. I can tell you what I'll paint tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm painting Portrait of a Woman Smelling a Rose. Then after that I'm painting Classical Still Life of Bread. And then, yeah. So tomorrow's Portrait of a Woman Smelling a Rose. So everything is already booked for the week. However, YouTube is not doing a good job promoting me, and I don't blame it. Each of these paintings already has a title. So the painting has a name before it's even started. So we're already marketing it before before we even start the thing. Well, hopefully it will be. Usually as a portrait artist you can't go wrong with subject matter like that. But sometimes you can. There we have the illusion of form starting to develop. I kid you not, a funny story about AI. I was uploading a portrait to Instagram and it was requiring me to like, it had a little, I don't think it was a requirement, but there was a feature that showed up to say, tag all AI specific like posts. I don't know if anybody's had some Instagram do that to them yet. I'm like, this is an oil painting. This is not AI. What are you talking about? Okay, now you see the paintings start to develop without any details. No details needed. Thanks for the emojis. Not sure what is that, not even sure. I can't keep track of what the emojis are these days. There we go, a sense of air, atmosphere. Now that we have the environment somewhat figured out surrounding the face of our little fox cub, let's jump into some details for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so until we take a break. When I take a break, I will be playing a video for you to watch, instructional videos. So even though I'll be taking a break, it'll still be something for you to benefit from. So now let's go ahead and start to put some specifics into the face. I will start with perhaps the eyes. This is just 7-Eleven water with some Powerade. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. I didn't drink enough water yesterday. I actually got a headache from painting. So let me first mix up some colors on the side of the palette so that you can see what I'll be using. So I'm gonna mix them over here, and this is gonna be our string that we're going to use for the colors. It's gonna range from yellow, light yellow, to kind of like a brownish. I'm just using the palette knife because I wanted to move these colors out of here. So that's gonna be our dark reddish and kind of our middle yellow And then gray, of course, is going to be gray, but you'll be basically just seeing me bounce back between these three. Okay, all right, so now let's add some details to the face. You want to have a light brush, a dark brush, a middle brush, and a brush for any other significant value or color changes. I'm glad you like the little close-ups. Now we're going to use black, add it right to the edge of this. Tear ducts. Another tear duct. But the head is in 3/4, which means you're seeing more of this side than you're seeing of that side. It's kind of a greenish. Let's use this with a tad bit of blue. Like that. And I always say this in case anybody's watching from somewhere near the DC area. If you want to hang out, paint a portrait or something together, or go to the National Gallery of Art in DC, let me know. I'm kind of on my own here. So what I do to socialize with people is go play pool. Though I'm not playing much pool at all these days, so really I have no social life. Oh yeah, I have a wife. She will be back from work at 5, like 45 or close to 6. She gets off at 5, but yeah. I got me a wife. She's my best friend and my biggest supporter. I know what you mean. Money-wise, yeah. Honestly, if I didn't have my wife Lucy, I could not afford to live. She really has been the biggest blessing to me, emotionally, and of course, she helps, more than helps with, getting by, because it's expensive to live in this area. But you'll see me here close to every day doing the absolute most that I can. to support her, support myself, and of course Hugo, my Shiba Inu, who looks like a fox. And whenever you feel like you're struggling, everybody, remember, there's always someone out there. Someone's always out there, even though it doesn't seem like it. Thank you for that comment. I hope so. I mean, I spent a lot of time painting, doing tutorials here on the internet and stuff, and this is really the time for me to do something with it, as opposed to just creating a tutorial. Do something more. This is hard. This is the hardest, the biggest art challenge I've ever faced. And we can't paint like there is a systematic way to do everything here. Sometimes I'm gonna have to make things up as I go, technique wise. I know what you mean. No, I've been there not too long ago where I just feels like sometimes it feels like the world is against me, and I had those copyright things on YouTube because of the references that I was showing, and some of the music that was supposed to be copyright free forever. It destroyed me. Like, I was afraid, like, there goes my whole career. But you just gotta keep fighting. But be very careful if you're going to be if you're going to be content creating, be very careful of anything that's copyright free when you use it. It doesn't always mean it will be copyright free forever. And if that's your primary source of income, you could be out of a job really fast. My biggest advice for any potential content creators out there, you can make a living doing this, but you have to reinvent yourself very often. You have to be very clever. And if painting is what you love to do, you've got to do it more than anybody else in the world, and it'll show. Well, yeah, I have definitely have a belief system. But we gotta be careful, though. We can't talk about religion on here, because YouTube will get us quick. Two things: religion and politics. Those are the two things we gotta be careful for. Now, obviously, we don't have a lot of people watching this live, so we should be safe. Hey, Susan. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a minute. So we're doing well with time. But now we are at that point where I'm going to take a break. However, I'm not really going to disappear. I have a video prepared for you. I'll play it twice for the first break and the second break. I think I'll have enough time for a third break. I'm not sure, but I'll play it for you while I'm gone. I'm gonna go stretch and all that stuff. But now we've got some detail for the fox. You can see after the first hour, we've blocked in the background first. Then we went into small planes, or we'll call it middle, in between planes. And then we started to put smaller planes for the face. Oh yeah. I'll definitely be taking a break. Have some more of my 7-Eleven water with the Propel powder, whatever this is. Sugar free, by the way. I don't like anything with sugar. No, it's not Hugo's Tricks. It's a art related video for everybody to watch. Hey Grace, welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break, and I usually say don't go anywhere, but I think you might like what I have in store for you, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, I will be right back. What's going on, YouTube? I am currently taking a break from the demo, but while I'm taking a break, let's go ahead and look at a quick 5-minute method to draw any portrait, so any face. And this is just regular old pastel paper, and this is pastel, but you can use charcoal or pencil or whatever. So you struggle with drawing faces. Let's take a look at top and bottom. You can always start with a square or a rectangle. In this case, let's just call it a rectangle, kind of like SpongeBob SquarePants, but you always want to have the top and the bottom. Now, when you're looking at the orientation of the head, if the head is an egg, this is the eye. The center is about a half for the eyes, bottom of the chin, top of the head. Obviously that's not drawn to scale, but whatever. The nose and the mouth are here, and 1/3 from the hairline to the eyebrow, another third from the eyebrow to the nose, another third from the nose down to the chin. So if the head is turned, say this is the eyes, this is the nose, there's the eye socket, and that's the side of the face. Gives you the ears right in between the eyes and the nose. The head could also be in 3/4, so this would be the center line, so that means you're seeing more of one side of the face and less of the other side of the face. So how would you start what we typically tend to do is a 3/4 view. So start with your little oval. This is the little egg, right? This is our little egg for how we're going to block in any face that we want. So now, if we're saying that we're in 3/4, that means that the center line is somewhere about here. That means we're seeing more of this side of the face. So this is what you need to know. Now, this is the angle for the eyebrows. This is the angle for the eyes, which now gives us about a halfway point. This is the nose, the mouth. The ears are going to fit somewhere roughly between the eyebrows and the nose. So there is good old ear. And eyebrow, line for the eyebrow, mark for the tear duct. The tear duct typically falls somewhere right there around the corner of the nose. So whenever you see me do portraits, you'll actually see me make a mark on the tear duct and draw it straight down, because it has a relation to the corner of the nose, and it also has a relation to the mouth. So this is the tear duct. Now we'll go ahead and draw the eye. However the eye is going to look. The iris, which also has a relationship on a vertical axis relative to the nose. Eyebrows can look however you want, doesn't matter. Now the position of the nose. So the nose in 3/4, you're going to see more of this side of the nose than you are of this side, just like with the eyes. you're going to see more of this side than that side. Sometimes a human tendency is to pull one eye towards you to try to make it straight, but if you're in 3/4, then every feature is in 3/4. So now this has a relation to the mouth, and this is the point of the mouth, the corner of the mouth. This is the bottom of the mouth. Now the bottom middle of the nose has a relation to the top middle of the upper lip, and this is going to give you an important distance between the bottom of the nose and the upper lip. This is extremely important for you to know because sometimes the tendency is to compress it or to elongate it. And last but not least, all you want to know now is relative to your model, what is the distance from this tear duct, I'm making the mark in blue, to the bottom of the nose. So what is the distance from here to here? What is the distance from this point here to the mouth? There's the middle of the mouth right there. And what is the distance from the mouth down to the chin? Now you'll see that this constantly changes in the starts of all of my paintings. Now I know you can't see the edge, but here, look, this is one line here, one line here, one line here, one line here. These lines are marked in blue. The eyebrow can actually move around kind of easily. So don't worry too much about the eyebrow. Where you're focused more or less, and let's make these final marks in blue because the like I said, a 5-minute break is typically what I'll be taking between painting sessions. Typically I don't want to work that long, like I don't want to work an hour and a half straight, which I might have done, who knows. But anyway, these are these points I want you to know. Tear duct to bottom of the nose. This is a relation that you can look at. It's tear duct to the bottom of the nose and the bottom middle of the mouth, and then the bottom of the chin. Now these points here, call this X, call this Y, call this Z, not to get too mathematical on you. These 3 distances are going to be unique to every single individual. For me, it's going to be different than it is for you. It's going to be different for your uncle. It's going to be different for your cousin. It's going to be different from every person. So you can, if you want to, when you're drawing someone, you can measure these points, but try the best that you can to just optically feel out these proportions. Once you learn how to work with different proportions relative to one another, so for example, from a distance, you can tell that this length A is optically longer than B. So if you're able to operate just by looking, A is bigger than B. But A is not 5 times bigger than B. A is probably maybe twice, 2 times as big as B. It really doesn't have to be that specific. So this is how you judge proportions optically, and this is how you're going to move up and down slightly little distances until you get the right placement of these features. Now, the main takeaway is this is how you start any human head from this angle. We can look at different angles another time, but it is now 7 minutes, so it's time to get back to painting. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you right away, I guess. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed break time. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Gigi and Harsh. Welcome back, everybody. All right, now that we are going to continue here, let's think about kind of a plan of action. So I was working on the face, adding as much kind of detail as possible. Maybe we'll stick with that. We could work all around, but I think we'll stick with that for now. Zoom you back in. And in the break time, I will play different little videos like that. Today, that's the only one that I had already prepared ahead of time, but I'll start filming a couple other 5 to 7 minute segments to play while I'm away. Now we're developing the form. Okay, so pulling the light together is one thing. Now we're going to get into some more of the darks. Changing to this brush. This is a sable brush. You could use something like a cheap watercolor brush, but you see the handle is a different size. It's all good because we're going to be painting the smaller shapes, but typically you want a softer brush for this. So we're going to have a light sable brush and a dark sable brush. So this will be the light one. Remember, the brushes were in a container of linseed oil, and I may even put clove oil in the container because, like I said, I'm not going to be selling the oil paintings for at least a couple weeks. I will be selling prints. So the clove oil, anybody that doesn't know about it, will take an extremely long time to dry. So I'm thinking I might just use it in my jar that holds the brushes, just to make sure that the paint doesn't dry on these poor little brushes. So in case anyone's wondering, all of the streams for the week are already scheduled. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that story. Harsh. So you wrote after getting kicked out of the property. Oh no. I don't have any children of my own except for my Shiba Inu Hugo, but I do sympathize a lot with parents. Most of my friends are parents now. I've got one friend from the billiard academy that he's my age and he has a 16-year-old. Go figure. In your 30s, you could already have a teenager. Yeah. Yes, they're all going to be this size, 9 by 12. At least some of them will be 8 by 10, but 9 by 12 is the size of this canvas. It just kind of fits with the whole setup that I have going on. I tried bigger, but that was distorting a little bit. Smaller can work, but most of them will be around this size, 9 by 12. A little bit of blue. You can see the blue right there. I'm really starting to get into small shapes now. And the blue just helps the contrast, as opposed to just using gray. No, I'm not using any medium to paint right now. There was some linseed oil on these brushes, so there might be some residual linseed oil from taking the brush out of the linseed oil, but nothing really other than that. I do have a medium that I'll use in the background eventually. That would be this Neo McGilp, but not just yet. I'll let you know when I use it. So if you like these streams and you have not subscribed or anything, definitely help me out. If you want to support the channel, all you got to do is like the video, share it if you can, subscribe to the channel while we're on the stream. Helps to promote it. This is only the second one of this series. It's a challenge for me because most of my audience is interested in just human faces. So it's quite a challenge to get people interested in this. In the future, I will be contemplating some giveaways. Obviously, I won't be giving away anything like a painting, but some giveaways once this picks up a little bit. My favorite medium, definitely Neo Megilp. Thanks, Helen. I'm glad you enjoy the stream. Excuse me. Now we really gotta push the darks. Here's where I will use Neo Megilp. It is a jelly-like medium. The gel. But what it does is it actually helps the darks look darker, as well as thinning out the paint. Thanks, Helen. GG, I'm glad you're interested in everything I paint, not just faces. So Helen, this time I'll be selling the paintings in frames, which will actually make shipping a lot easier, because the frame protects the painting. We're going to have a lot of inventory. I'm contemplating doing some craft fairs. These days, I don't really think much of a business card is necessary other than a QR code. But I'll be doing some craft fairs, potentially selling them in craft fairs. You boys got to make a living. And to own aquarelle, you mean like, no, this is not the watercolor. I did make a watercolor tutorial video over the weekend, but I decided not to upload it because I'm going to be developing a bunch of videos just in case I can't do a live stream on a given day. I will be uploading a video, pre-recorded video, just in case I can't do a stream on a given day, say a Sunday or a Saturday. If there's an important birthday or something that I have to make it to. A good trivia question would be, what medium do I use? That would be a good trivia question. Another reason I like this time is because I am in a small apartment. In the room where I'm at, you can sometimes hear the neighbors walking around or moving things. I hope that I'm not interrupting anything for them. I'm fortunate in this building, everybody's really nice. I don't have any bad neighbors or things like that. Everyone's so nice. So I hope I'm not interrupting anyone. Yeah, I even have a commission going on from my next door neighbor. I can't show it because it involves a copyrighted image that the neighbor wanted. So I cannot show it. I won't even show it on Instagram, unfortunately. But I can say neighbors here are pretty good. Yeah, I almost posted it, Gigi, but I held back. That was exactly, yeah, my bad for doing that too. That was exactly the moment where I contemplated doing these so-called daily live streams. You'll see the videos titled The Daily Yupari, which is nothing new. I've done a series titled The Daily Yupari before. I just didn't want to repeat the past where I would upload a video and kind of hope that people would watch it. That's always the case, right? You always hope people are going to be interested. But here, let's change camera angles. But this way, not only am I producing a video for you to watch, but also I'm creating a work of art that will be marketed. As a painter, you really cannot spend that long on a painting unless you're at the level where you're making it big in the gallery scene. You've got commissions from millionaires or whatever. Like, to be practical, if you're really trying to make a living with painting, you have to be really, really fast. You have to be really efficient, and you have to be able to paint anything under the sun. It's hard. It's very hard. But if you love it, you can do it. Don't worry about competition with other artists. Just like in business, competition is always a thing. But if you base your entire career off of what somebody else is doing, you will miss out on what you yourself want to be doing. Hey, Janice. I'm giving you all advice on making a living as an artist. It's not easy. It's very tough. You're going to miss out on a lot of things. You're going to miss out on having a lot of things, spending quality time with people that you love. It's a sacrifice. But if you find the right person to share your life with, that supports you, and more than just financially, but emotionally is there for you, you really can't lose. It just puts more pressure on you, though. Hey, Libertas, I'm glad you liked the video so far. You better believe on the next break I'm going to have Hugo here, so you can see how similar Shiba Inus look to foxes. So just like you want to be able to judge proportions, things that are certain distances from one another, you also want to be able to judge values kind of in the same manner. Just like in the break time video where I said you could obviously tell that A was longer than B, you should be able to tell that A is brighter than or darker than B. I once heard a teacher call it visual acuity, like visual IQ. I don't know if he just made that word up. It's Dan Thompson, the portrait painter, teacher, very famous teacher from Studio Incaminati. I don't know if he's still at Incaminati these days. If you see any of the live streams from Studio Incaminati on YouTube, Dan Thompson is the one that does a lot of the narration there. Unfortunately, that's a very common name, so you're gonna have to look up Dan Thompson art, maybe title Dan Thompson Art Instructor, Philadelphia, or New York. I think he's also in New York. Oh, thanks, GG. Oh, I'm glad you like that turban watercolor practice. Those other mediums really helped me develop more of an intuitive sense of how to work with paint, especially the watercolor. And anybody that wants to improve their oil painting, try watercolor. You'll find that the fact that you can't use white to raise a value really teaches you how to draw with the darks. Okay, so that face is almost there. Obviously, there's going to be some light on the nose. Which will make that a little more realistic. Visual acuity is a measure of the sharpness and clarity of vision, specifically the ability to distinguish fine details at a certain distance. Oh, that's what visual acuity means. And he didn't make that up. I should look things up more often, but when I got Gigi to look everything up for me, I kind of don't have to look it up. I don't have 20/20 either. I wear glasses or contacts. And or contacts. Thanks, Gigi. I'm a tad bit worried. I don't think you can hear it, but let me know if you can hear it. I've got a neighbor that's doing some kind of hammering on the wall or whatever. I hope they can't hear me, but I guess I'll figure it out eventually. For some reason, you said, I think we can see more colors with thin color than people who aren't artists. Oh yeah, and even the last like 2 weeks where I've been painting nearly every single day, obviously not on camera because we started that yesterday. I noticed right away that I was seeing things differently. Even the pool table looks differently. Not that I'm playing much pool anymore, but just even looking at the pool table, it looks different. Lucy is still in the league, the pool league that I'm at, or was. Um, so I went on Friday to hang out with her while she played pool league, and I noticed even the table looked different. I injured my feet, so I'm not able to play pool like I used to, which is a blessing in disguise. I won't get into too much detail about it, but it's nothing permanent. Just my feet are messed up. It is a different way of seeing things, absolutely. What it is your visual perception is increasing. That's why you see things differently. It happens to me all the time. Like I just stop and I can see the sunlight on a dumpster and think, wow, that is brilliant. You appreciate certain things more. There's beauty in everything, even a dumpster. The face itself is almost finished. So we're gonna work on the paws and all that stuff for our little cub. Our little fox cub looks menacing, like he or she is gonna get into some kind of trouble, and is not ashamed of it. All right. Did I ever do photography? Not in college. You said you had to in college, and I just in high school. I took a photography class in high school. I remember. I remember like 3/4 perspective, or not perspective, but composition. Like am I using it here? Kind of. Like the face is, I don't know, 3/4 of the way up, close to centered because it is a portrait. But typically, you're taking a picture of somebody, you don't want their head to be here. Up here is fine, 3/4 of the way up. Same way you see that there. Let's get into the paws. Before we get into detail with the paws, just like we did with the face, we're going to work some of the stuff around the paws, and then we're going to make it to the paws. Something very important here is going to be the light, in particular the light over here. So I'm going to get the palette knife out, and we're going to put some texture, and let's see if we'll zoom you in here. Now this is very close to the color of the paws, or not the paws, the ears, let's say. So let's take some of this and mix it in there. Pretty bright color. Let's add that here. We did an entire painting in palette knife once. We won't do that today, obviously, but there it is. There's that bright light. That was kind of needed in order to be able to get the light effect. See how important and simple that was to do? Now we'll get to a bigger brush, and just like we did up there, we painted kind of thick. Actually, let's go back to that. I'm putting some phthalo blue on the top. I'll show you why I want to do that. To create a vignette or a part of the painting that you leave unfinished to complement the finished stuff. It'll also create a gradation, kind of like a fade into the background. Appreciate all the likes, everyone. We're at 31 likes. We've consistently had more likes than we've had people watching, so that's kind of interesting. Appreciate it. Now you see a little gradation of tone, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom with the same color. And you'll see it'll kind of add more of a dramatic effect to the light. You can already tell it just kind of illuminates our cute little fox. Now we will just get really thick paint and start to add more depth over here. That's just raw sienna. It's important that it stay dark, but not that dark. And we'll let the brush strokes like this. Use the transparency of the brush strokes to suggest the grass. The grassy area is going to be important because it's going to show the size of our cute little fox pup. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to place the cast shadow back onto the ground. It's still there, but we kind of underplayed it a little bit. This is just black with blue. A bit of raw umber. $3 o'clock. So about 9 minutes away from the next hour. Wow, that goes fast. Around this time, there's so much traffic outside. I can hear it. I'm on the 14th floor in the apartment, in a room away from the windows facing outside. But man, those sirens, though. Now you see how this creates more depth for our foxy fox. You know, I don't like heights, so I thought that maybe this living this high up would bother me, but it's not too bad, and it's because we don't have a balcony. If we had a balcony, it might bother me a little bit. I probably wouldn't even go on the balcony. But it's not too bad. Only thing I don't like is when there's a fire drill or a fire alarm and we gotta go 14 flights of stairs down. And when the elevator is not working, I'm stuck because you can't take the stairs because the 3rd floor is locked. You can make it all the way to the 3rd floor and then get stuck. Which is not the best of things, but it is a thing. Other than that, it's alright. In terms of the height, it doesn't really bother me as much as I thought it would. But if I had my way, I would live on the 1st floor and not in a busy apartment like this. I don't like busy apartments. I don't like having to share the elevator, especially when I have to take Hugo on the elevator. Because there's some people that don't like dogs. They don't say anything, right? Thankfully, I haven't run into any rude people, but I can tell when some people don't like dogs. I do really like the view, though. The view is nice. Oh yeah, no, they don't even let us take the elevators when there's a fire drill. No, the elevator shuts off. They make you take the stairs. At least I think that's what they do. All in all, not so bad. Not so bad. Almost looks like the fox has little boots on. So you wrote, you find that to see colors, you also see colors differently as an artist. I remember taking color study. One of the first times I took it, it was like the first class, the first art class, like outside of school, like high school, that I ever took, and everything just looked so different. I remember, like even like the light on my nose versus like the light of the wall, even something simple like that when you're brushing your teeth, hopefully not with a paintbrush filled with cadmium, but everything just looks so different. Especially when you paint outside, you'll see different light effects and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. Prints of this painting will be available. It's starting to get to a point now where I can safely say that somebody might be interested in a print. The original will be available in time, but not right away. I will sell the originals with frames. Because I think oil paintings should be sold with a frame. Kind of finishes the entire process. You wrote, how can you get home if the elevator is off and the stairs are locked on the third floor? This actually happened to me, like I want to say 2 days ago. Actually, it happened to me on Sunday. I went to visit my mom in Maryland with Hugo when I came back, and one of the elevators wasn't working. There's only two elevators, and there was just too long of a wait. So I didn't go home. I just went with Hugo. We just drove around, and then eventually the one elevator worked. But you just gotta wait a long time. I didn't wait. I just left. And Hugo's supposed to be in a container in his pet stroller, and I didn't even put him in the pet stroller. It was impossible to have the stroller and have him have the stroller and be cramped in an elevator with like 7 other people. I'm sure other people can relate to that. People living in apartments like this. But I'm still thankful to have a place to paint, right? I'm thankful to have a place to live, and so many people don't have that in this world, and I feel lucky. No matter what, I feel lucky. I'm fortunate to have a place. So I'm not going to complain about that. But yeah, no, sometimes the elevators are down, yeah. But it's all good. I'm still thankful. Now you see from a distance the paws start to work. So it's pretty much that time. We'll be taking a break. I will play that video for you yet again. So again, you don't have to run away when we take a break. I have an educational video for you to watch. It's about 7 minutes long. Then when we come back, we will continue to develop this painting. But as you can see, the form is already there with the face, the back area, the chest, the paws. Alrighty then. Oh yeah, the plumbing problem. Yeah, that was. It wasn't quite resolved with the old place. That's why we left the old place. Wow, you have a good memory. Yeah, it was never fully resolved, so we just left. But okay, it's about that time. We are going to take a break. However, I will play a instructional video for you in case anybody struggles with drawing human faces or in general struggles with proportion. In that video, I will introduce you to landmarks that you can use for the face of any painting with a face in it. Doesn't even necessarily have to be human, though it will be a human head that we will do a little demo of. Let's see. What you meant, was it that bad that you had to leave? Yes, it was that bad. We had to leave because of that, because we noticed that there was mold developing, and we didn't want to live in an area where mold was developing, so we left before it could get that bad. So yeah, it was that bad. Okie dokie. All right. We are going to take a break. I will play that video for you. Hopefully it will help you out, and I'll be back in about 7 minutes. What's going on, YouTube? I am currently taking a break from the demo, but while I'm taking a break, let's go ahead and look at a quick 5-minute method to draw any portrait, so any face. And this is just regular old pastel paper, and this is pastel, but you can use charcoal or pencil or whatever. So you struggle with drawing faces. Let's take a look at top and bottom. You can always start with a square or a rectangle. In this case, let's just call it a rectangle, kind of like SpongeBob SquarePants, but you always want to have the top and the bottom. Now, when you're looking at the orientation of the head, if the head is an egg, this is the eye. The center is about a half for the eyes, bottom of the chin, top of the head. Obviously, that's not drawn to scale, but whatever. The nose and the mouth are here, and 1/3 from the hairline to the eyebrow, another third from the eyebrow to the nose, another third from the nose down to the chin. So if the head is turned, say this is the eyes, this is the nose, there's the eye socket, and that's the side of the face. gives you the ears right in between the eyes and the nose. The head could also be in 3/4, so this would be the center line, so that means you're seeing more of one side of the face and less of the other side of the face. So how would you start what we typically tend to do is a 3/4 view. So start with your little oval. This is the little egg, right? This is our little egg for how we're going to block in any face that we want. So now, if we're saying that we're in 3/4, that means that the center line is somewhere about here. That means we're seeing more of this side of the face. So this is what you need to know. Now, this is the angle for the eyebrows. This is the angle for the eyes, which now gives us about a halfway point. This is the nose, the mouth. The ears are going to fit somewhere roughly between the eyebrows and the nose. So there is good old ear. And eyebrow, line for the eyebrow, mark for the tear duct. The tear duct typically falls somewhere right there around the corner of the nose. So whenever you see me do portraits, you'll actually see me make a mark on the tear duct and draw it straight down, because it has a relation to the corner of the nose, and it also has a relation to the mouth. So this is the tear duct. Now we'll go ahead and draw the eye, however the eye is going to look. The iris, which also has a relationship on a vertical axis relative to the nose. Eyebrows can look however you want, doesn't matter. Now the position of the nose. So the nose in 3/4, you're going to see more of this side of the nose than you are of this side. Just like with the eyes, you're going to see more of this side than that side. Sometimes a human tendency is to pull one eye towards you to try to make it straight, but if you're in 3/4, then every feature is in 3/4. So now this has a relation to the mouth, and this is the point of the mouth, the corner of the mouth. This is the bottom of the mouth. Now the bottom middle of the nose has a relation to the top middle of the upper lip, and this is going to give you an important distance between the bottom of the nose and the upper lip. This is extremely important for you to know, because sometimes the tendency is to compress it or to elongate it. And last but not least, all you want to know now is, relative to your model, what is the distance from this tear duct, I'm making the mark in blue, to the bottom of the nose. So what is the distance from here to here? What is the distance from this point here to the mouth? There's the middle of the mouth right there. And what is the distance from the mouth down to the chin? Now you will see that this constantly changes in the starts of all of my paintings. Now I know you can't see the edge, but here, look, this is one line here, one line here, one line here, one line here. These lines are marked in blue. The eyebrow can actually move around kind of easily. So don't worry too much about the eyebrow. Where you're focused more or less, and let's make these final marks in blue, because like I said, a 5-minute break is typically what I'll be taking between painting sessions. Typically I don't want to work that long, like I don't want to work an hour and a half straight, which I might have done, who knows. But anyway, these are these points I want you to know. Tear duct to bottom of the nose. This is a relation that you can look at. Tear duct to the bottom of the nose and the bottom middle of the mouth, and then the bottom of the chin. Now these points here, call this X, call this Y, call this Z, not to get too mathematical on you. These 3 distances are going to be unique to every single individual. For me, it's going to be different than it is for you. It's going to be different for your uncle. It's going to be different for your cousin. It's going to be different from every person. So you can if you want to, when you're drawing someone, you can measure these points, but try the best that you can to just optically feel out these proportions. Once you learn how to work with different proportions relative to one another, so for example, from a distance, you can tell that this length A is optically longer than B. So if you're able to operate just by looking, A is bigger than B. But A is not 5 times bigger than B. A is probably maybe twice, 2 times as big as B. It really doesn't have to be that specific. So this is how you judge proportions optically, and this is how you're going to move up and down slightly little distances until you get the right placement of these features. Now, the main takeaway is this is how you start any human head from this angle. We can look at different angles another time, but it is now 7 minutes, so it's time to get back to painting. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you right away, I guess. Okay, like I said, Shiba Inus, they do look like foxes, don't they? Look at the ears, the eyes, the nose. These dogs do look like foxes. So this is my Shiba Inu Hugo. He's about to be three years old in December. Of course, that's a long way from now. But yes, I do like painting animals. The colors on my palette, we'll go over it when we take Hugo out of the studio, because I don't want him to be surrounded by oil painting stuff and things like that. So this is Hugo. As you can see, Shiba Inus do look a lot like foxes. So let's get back to the palette. So we have white, lemon yellow, which is a lemon yellow type color, which is nickel yellow. That yellow is, I've been calling it winter yellow, but it's basically just a weak cadmium yellow substitute. It's just a transparent yellow, basically. Then we have raw sienna, and then we have burnt sienna. That color that drips down is cadmium scarlet, and then we have Windsor red next to it. Alizarin crimson, burnt umber, sap green, ivory black, and the blue that we're using is that is phthalo blue. So now let me take Hugo, put him back outside of the room. And we will finish up this painting. We've got more than an hour, so we've got plenty of time to continue this one. Hopefully I didn't scare anyone off. If you're scared of dogs, you're probably not watching this stream anyway. Alright, so those are the colors on the palette. Now let's start to work on the environment. So I'm going to want a kind of a bright greenish color. You can see how transparent this yellow is. See how it doesn't do much of anything. And I just put a ton of it.
Okay.
I just put a ton of it in this mixture here. Test it out. And that's fairly good. we're going to paint in different planes for the background. And there is a different plane, kind of a, we'll add kind of like a reddish brown section. Give kind of the effect of like dirt, I guess. Kind of similar to the color of the fox. Back to that bright green. Let me tell you what, backgrounds are some of the most misleadingly difficult things you could ever paint. So you just kind of gotta go with your gut here. Different planes. It may look black in comparison, but it is a bright blue. Not that bright, but quite bright. Relative to something like an ultramarine. This helps give us our sharp edges. Haven't seen a comment in a while. Is everyone still here? Or did we fall into the upside down? So the background is getting there. Glad everyone's still here. Oh, nice to see. Rhymes with fate. Alright, so different planes for the background. We're using the palette knife to create kind of a nice, rich color with some texture involved. Like that. Glad you enjoy seeing the development, Janice. Now we're blending these little shapes away. gonna go and kind of risk something here. Ooh, I really like this. The way this kind of blends away. I'm gonna risk something here. I'm gonna go with the transparent yellow. Paint this directly in here. Create a gradation here. Well, that's fun. Pretty neat gradation. Much softer than I would get with a brush. Oddly enough, with a palette knife. Now you can see how transparent that yellow is. I posted the picture of the painting from yesterday on the Instagram. Not really any attention on it. I don't think it's got more than... It doesn't even have more than 2 likes, so if anyone hasn't seen it, definitely check it out. And see how transparent this green is. This is a chiaroscuro type effect. Chiaroscuro, meaning strong light versus dark. So Michael, you're painting a white furry dog. Kind of stuck for what color, kind of background to do. Kind of a brown color at the moment. Sometimes with the backgrounds, what'll help is if you take a picture of it and you experiment with different background colors on your phone before changing it in the original. If you haven't tried that, definitely try that out. Sometimes backgrounds are even more complicated than what we paint in the foreground. Okay, so fairly happy with the way that looks. I want to push a little more phthalo back here. I'm glad you like the tip, Helen. Yep, technology is there for us. Sometimes it's best to just experiment on the phone. I'm pretty certain if the old masters were alive today, they would use everything they could to create better paintings. Now, obviously, you don't want to take away from the authenticity of something created by hand. So I don't mean necessarily do everything digital, but when it comes to the decision making like that, perhaps using the phone would save you time. You would land on the same decision, but in less time. That's all I'm saying. I like the background as it is. Now let's return to the fox. The foxy fox. That was decent enough for the background. Now some color relationships for the foxy fox. I'm gonna go with here. This could be, I don't know. Let's put something down first. And whatever was on the brush, whatever I just put down, it kind of works. Kind of works. Red, what? Sounds like someone getting, uh-oh. Yeah, the foxes do tend to make a loud noise. Yeah, I remember actually I could hear those when I was living in the other apartment before this one. True, that could explain why we only have 16 people watching. Maybe a lot of you don't like foxes, but that's all good. We'll paint anything and everything that we can. So don't worry. Glad you like the idea, Michael. You know, coincidentally enough, the Shiba Inu, the breed of dog that I have that looks like a fox, you know, they also have something called a Shiba Scream. I have never heard it from Hugo to the extent of some of the Shibas online. It's a very unique sound. If you look it up, Shiba Scream. Yeah, I haven't heard Hugo do that to that extent. He does whine when he wants to go outside or he's hungry. And it's like a Shiba Scream, but not as loud. So they are very fox-like, even to the scream. But they're not directly related to Shibas. The foxes are not. They're different. Remember, these are long format videos, so feel free to play it while you are getting ready for bed, if you have trouble sleeping like I do, if you need something in the background while you're doing chores at home, or you're getting ready for the workday. The concept is I want to paint the world. Paint anything and everything that I can. And of course we'll be selling prints and different products of these paintings. And eventually the originals will be for sale. This is something I feel like Bob Ross may have enjoyed. He loved wildlife. Okay, I think somebody else is calling me. That's the noise that you hear. My phone is on vibrate, so that's a thing. Yeah, the Shiba scream is very similar. Very similar sound. If anybody has a Shiba Inu, let me know. That would be pretty cool to run into someone else that has the Shiba. And I don't mean the cryptocurrency. Nice lost and found edges. Got our little orange. We're going to start to put some hints of orange. Oh, I'm glad you like the brush for the feet. Now we're going to put in the suggestion of fur. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to paint, trying to suggest it on this one plane. Then, if possible, we're going to scratch like that. Put in the suggestion of the fur. I do use orange a lot. I do. Now this orange is going to be on the planes that turn away from the light, a very specific area. Not everywhere. Certain areas that turn away from the light. We're going to scratch to get the illusion of fur. Not everywhere though. Yep, we are working our way up to the whiskers. Yes, we are. Yep, whiskers will be there soon. And you want the illusion of the fur to follow the direction of the form. A little less orange now. Now the realism is much stronger now. Very fox-like. Now we'll work our way to the whiskers. Remember, everything here is unedited. So you can feel free to follow along at your own pace. Thanks, Helen. It is an advantage without the source to compare to watching to seeing what you will be working on. Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you for that comment. I really am trying to work away from references now. Let it be about the painting and not about trying to replicate something. You know, one of these days we're gonna paint a squirrel just for Bob Ross. We might put an afro on the squirrel. Oh, thanks, Gigi. Well, thanks. I hope that this experience is, something people will look forward to, especially as we continue to do these episodes. It's a very difficult concept, but I really do look forward to this. It's a really big challenge. A little bit of medium. And you can see how the paint is thin there. The cute little fox, of course, has very small whiskers. Now I'm going to have to use that watercolor brush to make really fine marks. A lot of paint and some medium. Neo McGilp. See how thin that is. Okay, so now some more depth to the rest of the fur. So I've got just about 20 minutes left. You see in these fine details moments, I'm still relatively far from the painting. Oh, good. The red fox is known for having the black tips on their ears and the black stockings on their fur. Oh, good. That means we've kind of got it, somewhat. I see how I stay pretty far back at this stage. So at this point, I'm kind of just going off of instinct. I try to paint mostly out of instinct. With nearly 20 years experience painting, it's easier on my mind. I get less tired if I rely on instinct a little bit more. Imagine having to think all of these decisions through. It would be too much. Because you like the whiskers. They don't have eyebrows, not that I see any, but I can give them eyebrows. squinting your eyes at what you're looking at, or blurring your eyes, helps to see the big picture without details. It's very important because if I am to be lucky enough to sell this, what's going to sell it is the big picture, not so much the details from a distance. Then somebody will look at the details, then decide for themselves if they want the painting or not. They do have eyebrows, okay. Different expressions. This one's up to something. This one's pondering something, I can already tell. This fox is up to something. This fox is already trying to leave my studio. Someone's gonna buy this fox, and the fox knows it. Tomorrow we'll be painting another human portrait. Alright, taking off the glass is very useful for details, eliminating details. This fox is definitely up to no good, I can tell. Smiling. I know the fox says, I'm going to leave this studio as soon as possible. I'll probably put this one in a goldish frame, I'm thinking. More texture for the fur. Hey Jonas. Thanks for joining again today. appreciate all the likes, everybody. We're almost at 40. That's pretty good. We're at the final 10 minutes for today. But don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow. We are scheduled for tomorrow as well. Tomorrow we'll be painting a human. Glad you liked the fox, Jonas, and the colors. Really not much else for me to do. This is where you sit back and double check what it is you see, and from a distance, meaning it's about like definitely more than an arm's length away. Don't see much. Guess it's almost ready to sign. You see, I wanted that kind of blurry, picturesque background. So, yeah, as you see, I'm all the way in the back of the room. So, I can lean my head back here. Camera is actually right above my head. You see my hands? So, yeah. I don't see much. You wrote, is it easier to mix animal colors than skin colors for likeness? Actually, I'd say it's harder. With skin tones, it's a little bit easier to mix human skin tones because the Zorn palette, you can do it with just 4 colors. With animal portraits, I mean, you've got tortoises, you got snakes, you got tarantulas, you got crocodiles, you got cats, you got dogs, jellyfish. The list goes on. There's way too many. So you definitely need an extended palette like this. Let's talk about the palette a little bit. Let's just chat for the final 10 minutes or so. So we've got white, we've got 3 yellows, 4 reds, a brown, a green, 2 blues. I consider ivory black to be a blue. Hey Aline, I'm glad you liked the painting and the glowing look. We will be selling prints of this one. So let's go ahead and sign it. Why not? Again, I don't have a lot of mineral spirits. That is key to the air quality. Oil paints don't have to be that dangerous. Like I said, I've got barely enough mineral spirits to fill this cup, as you see. So I'm going to use the mineral spirits and my medium, which is Neo McGilp. Let's go back to the palette. I'm going to use just a alizarin crimson and whatever green is on here to sign. Bottom left will be the signature. Prints will be available as soon as next week. I'll be selling through my Etsy first, then I'll create my own website later once we have enough paintings. So now you see how I mix that. Now let's go ahead and sign. And we'll hang out for a little bit till about 5, so we got 5 minutes. Also, I have a Zoom tier on my Patreon that I'm calling it After Party. So if you want to Zoom with me afterwards for 45 minutes, so from 5 to 5:45 DC time zone. If you want to hang out on Zoom after the session, we can do that. I'm also going to create a way for you to just Venmo me if you want to hang out afterwards, so you don't have to pay for the whole month if you don't want to. Alright, so let's sign this. You can see it's very, very light. There we go. And 25 for the year. Of course, you know that I'm not painting this in 1925. I don't think we had YouTube back then, right? And of course, I'm not painting this in the year 2125. So, you know, it's the 2020s. Alright, so that's all I got for you here. I'm gonna hang out for about 3 minutes or so till the end of the hour. Oh, good. I'm glad you like the luminosity. That's kind of a thing, I guess. Light. I kind of like to portray light as much as I can. Light, form, color variation, textures. These are all the things that I like to portray in a painting. Watercolor is like the best way to sketch, to really like get intuitive color mixing and things like that, especially when it comes to light. But of course, we're going to be doing oil paint for all of this. And the schedule is 1:30 p.m. almost every day. We're scheduled for every day of the week. Though I am human and things can happen, but I'm going to have some pre-recorded videos set up for you to watch whenever I'm away. But anyway, hopefully you like this painting. Tomorrow we'll be painting, the painting for tomorrow is titled, I think it's titled Portrait of a Woman Smelling a Rose. And then we've got paintings scheduled all the way through Sundays, so it's a full schedule. This is quite a difficult task, but I've always wanted to do something like this to show that we can do more than just paint a head and shoulders kind of setup. There's just some dried paint on there. Alrighty, so don't forget to check out my Patreon for $10 a month. We've got a whole series of projects that you can work on from beginner all the way to advanced. That's $10 a month. $5 a month, we've got a, I'm going to call it a vlog, so a series of short videos very frequently. Not every day, but close to it, where I just talk a little bit about whatever's going on throughout the day, whether it's going to the art store or about $Hugo or pool related or whatever. And
$45 a month is for you to hang out with me on Zoom after these streams. And then I've got a one-on-one private Zoom session that you can schedule whenever you want, as long as it's not during one of these streams. For $95 a month, we can talk about anything you want. If you're struggling with portrait, we can work on a portrait painting together during that session. Landscape, figure, anything you want to work on, drawing, basics of your drawing, anything like that, we can work on. I'm glad you like the painting. Grace and Gigi and everybody that commented. In a few hundred years, they won't know if it's 1925 or 2025. They won't, but, you know, that's a nice mystery. A nice mystery, I guess. In the back, on the back side, especially behind the frame, I'll write something on the painting. Yeah, we'll do something with that. I would hope that the painting will be available for people to see in the next couple hundred years. I don't know. Who knows what's in store in the next couple hundred years. The brushes are going to go back in the linseed oil, except for that one because it fell. That's all I got for you today. I'll be back tomorrow at same time, 1:30 p.m. DC time. Hopefully you're enjoying these streams. I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you tomorrow.